10 years prior, gates leading to another dimension unexpectedly opened all over the globe. New magical abilities emerged in certain humans, enabling them to confront these monsters. Those individuals became known as hunters. They're categorized based on the power they possess, ranging from E rank, the weakest, to D, C, B, A, and S rank, the most powerful. Their abilities remain at the level they initially awakened, never enhancing further. On a construction site, the notoriously recognized weakest hunter, Jin Woo, arrives to join the other hunters for the raid that will soon commence. Although he is the weakest, Jin Woo is not looked down upon, but his involvement in a job indicates that the raid will be an uncomplicated one. Sung greets Lee Joo-hee, a healer he has collaborated with in the past. She is concerned to see his injuries from a prior job and advises him to exercise caution. He takes a seat and engages in light conversation with her. Despite the dangers of continuing as a hunter due to his lack of abilities, he isn't troubled by being labeled the weakest and informs her that he is accustomed to it. Song Chi-yul, the team leader, soon assembles the remainder of the team as he introduces himself. As the raid commences, Sung checks that he possesses his weapon. It is a low-power knife, but it is all he could afford. Gaining assurance, Jin Woo is the last to step into the portal. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Korean Hunters Association, Go Gun-hee, is in a discussion about the intricate details of dungeon raids with his assistant, Woo Jin-chul. Go informs him that the resources located within, essence stones gathered by defeating magical beasts, hunters can sustain themselves by selling them. Back in the dungeon, Jin Woo is thrilled when he discovers his very first essence stone. However, his excitement is fleeting as a magical beast assaults him. He tries to stab the goblin, only to his astonishment, it shatters before being stabbed back in the abdomen. Unable to endure his injury on the ground, Park Gi-sul, a teammate, eliminates the goblin while Joo-hee provides healing for his stab wound. The raid team successfully defeats the dungeon boss, a werewolf, and celebrates as they gather loot, while Jin Woo observes from afar, recuperating from his injuries. Joo-hee, worried, expresses her fears to him while she tends to his wounds. Then, Jongko finds an entrance to a rare double dungeon and shares the exciting news with the team. The team agrees to hold a vote on whether to explore it for additional loot. Jin Woo possesses the deciding vote regarding entering the cave, while Joo-hee opposes it. Jin Woo is the primary provider for his family. His father is absent, his mother is hospitalized, and he contributes to his sister's college tuition. He requires the money, so he casts his vote to delve into the depths of the dungeon. Now, within the Hunters Guild building, Yoo Jin-ho is glimpsed entering a room as he stands before a machine. Simultaneously, in a city, two purse snatchers on a motorcycle attempt to escape after stealing a woman's handbag. A striking young woman leaps into the air and effortlessly retrieves the purse, taking down the thief in a single fluid motion, who promptly returns the bag to its rightful owner. Her actions capture the attention of nearby citizens, causing them to gather around her. Feeling uneasy with the attention, Cha quickly escapes using her agility, returning to Jin Woo and his team. They trek through the cave for 40 minutes. Noticing Jin Woo's sadness, Joo-hee comforts him, suggesting that he should take her out sometime as a way to thank her for her steadfast support. Eventually, they reach the end of the tunnel and come across a colossal door, prompting them to decide to open it and step into the unknown room beyond. Meanwhile, Chairman Go Gun-hee speaks to the newly awakened individuals, cautioning them about the risks of becoming hunters, and never let themselves become arrogant or careless. As Jin Woo and his team walked in, the massive room within started to illuminate with blue flames. Anticipating the encounter with magical creatures and valuable treasures, the team is bewildered by the appearance of the place filled with ancient statues and instructions. Joo-hee informs Jin Woo that she just noticed the largest statue in this room watching them. Suddenly, the door forcefully slams shut, prompting one of the team members to rush out as he attempts to push the door open. But to their fright, one of the statues guarding the entrance viciously attacks him with its weapon. Horrified by the sight of the statue animating, the team members stand in shock, prompting Jin Woo to turn and look at the largest of all the statues that Joo-hee had warned him about. Sung reflects on all the previous near disasters he has faced in dungeons, from suffering severe injuries to almost dying from hunger. After having endured for this long, Jin Woo instantly understood what was about to occur next. Jin Woo shouted for his teammates to duck as the statue's eye started to launch an attack. A devastating beam of light fired at the hunters, turning several of them into ashes. Jin Woo rescues Joo-hee from danger, but soon realizes they are seriously threatened. Paralyzed by fear, Jin Woo's comrades question one another about what to do before Chi-yul cautions them not to move to prevent the statue from launching another attack. Jin Woo attempts to speak with Joo-hee, who is too traumatized to respond after what she has just experienced. Chi-yul inquires how Jin Woo anticipated the statue's attack, to which Jin Woo replies it was instinct. And then he shockingly realizes that Chi-yul has lost an arm from the statue's assault. Jin Woo assists him in stopping the bleeding, and Chi-yul comments that he suspects the statue to be A rank, if not S rank. Chi-yul then states that the commandments aren't there for fun and begins to enumerate them, saying, "First, thou shalt worship God. Second, thou shalt praise God. Third, thou shalt prove thy faith. Those who do not follow these laws will not leave alive." Jin Woo then understands that God refers to the enormous statue. Simultaneously in school, Jin Woo's sister, Sung Jina, is attending class when her friend Han Song-yi narrowly avoids tardiness and inquires about Jin Woo's role as a hunter. Jina modestly describes him as simply an E rank, typically vulnerable to injuries. Quietly, Song-yi comments that she could make even an E rank look impressive if she were to become one. Within the dungeon, Chi-yul and Jin Woo discuss how to confront the 3 trials posed by the statue of God. Frustrated by their situation, another hunter, Ju Jae-hwan, attempts to flee to the door, asserting that speed is his strength. However, he is instantly disintegrated by a beam of light, leaving only his 2 feet behind. Jin Woo chooses to evaluate the statue after being reminded that the foremost commandment is to worship God. He rises before stepping back anxiously, prompting the statue's eyes to flick toward him, illuminate, and then cease. Realizing his assumptions were correct, he shouts to the other survivors to kneel before the statue. The enormous statue's countenance quickly transforms into a malevolent grin. Observing the statue's alteration but lack of movement, Park Beom-shik rises and feels relieved to see the statue remain still. Convinced it is all over, the remaining group stands, yet they are astonished to notice the statue mimicking their actions as it starts to approach them. Reflecting on the second commandment, "Thou shalt praise God," one of the members claims he is a student of ethnology and that he possesses a few extollments for gods. Then he begins addressing the approaching statue with the prayers he knows. The hunter is soon trampled by the statue's feet as its grin broadens. Jin Woo eventually understands that the concept of praise pertains to hymns, so he instructs the survivors to head to the statues equipped with instruments instead of weapons. Jin Woo pulls Juhi towards a statue of a drummer and quickly realizes that the statues will not activate if 2 individuals are nearby, so he leaves Juhi with the statue and searches for another statue that holds instruments. However, Jin Woo's slow pace nearly results in him being crushed by the god statue's foot, causing him to inadvertently roll to a statue that bears a shield. The statue employs its weapon by dropping onto him. Jin Woo is then seen crawling toward a statue, managing to activate it to sing, prompting the god statue to halt its pursuit and return to its throne. As Juhi reconnects with Jin Woo, she understands that he has lost a leg and swiftly attempts to heal him. Suddenly, there is a rumble in the chamber, and they all look to see that the massive statue has made a stone cylinder appear in the center of the room. Jin Woo clarifies that it is an altar that was used for sacrifices in ancient times. Sang-shik then suggests that Chi-yul should use this moment to take responsibility for the fallen. Jin Woo also thinks during this moment that it was a collective decision, so one person should not be blamed, which he easily agrees to, and steps toward the center, igniting a flame. This moment is confusing for a brief time before Jin Woo asks 2 of the other survivors to assist him in walking to the altar, lighting 3 more flames in the circle. Meanwhile, in Jina's location, she is now depicted visiting her unconscious mother and updating her on her school results. Back at the dungeon, Jin Woo instructs everyone to gather at the altar, while the survivors are astonished to observe a ring of blue flames emerge around the original 6 flames as the dungeon door opens. At this moment, all the statues start advancing towards the still terrified group, and Jin Woo quickly realizes that if someone was watching a statue, it couldn't move, commenting that it was reminiscent of the game they had played as children. Recognizing the open door as a trap, the 2 members assisting Jin Woo stand aside in fear. He then yells that no one else should exit because it would create a blind spot, prompting Sang-shik to ponder if they did escape. What if the doors closed anyway? And he then apologizes, breaking into tears as he expresses that he has a family waiting for him. Now, with only Juhi, Chi-yul, and Jin Woo remaining, Chi-yul tries to stay back, but Juhi collapses and, in shock, reveals that her legs are immobile, discovering she has exhausted her magic. Jin Woo instructs Chi-yul to carry Juhi out and hands her the essence stone he acquired earlier, telling her to buy food as he had previously promised to take her for a meal, which leads Juhi to question in tears how he can still make jokes before being neck-chopped by Chi-yul. Chi-yul then expresses regret that he would have allowed them more time for farewells, but sadly he is out of time, and he then lifts Juhi. A desperate Jin Woo seizes the sword that Sang-shik left behind and reflects on his unfortunate desire to gain strength like others. One of the statues, now close enough, hurls its weapon at Jin Woo, but misses. Jin Woo is soon savagely attacked by the statues as his screams reverberate throughout the dungeon. Jin Woo leans against the altar and tries to scream something, but is stabbed by a statue's spear before being lifted into the air and thrown onto the altar, surrounded by his own blood that has pooled over the altar, as one of the statues raises its sword and brings it down on Jin Woo. A blue flame extinguishes, and an interface materializes in Jin Woo's mind, prompting him to either accept or decline, leading Jin Woo to accept.